In the vast, golden plains of Imbali, where the acacia trees stretched toward the heavens and the skies shimmered with the dust of the earth, there lived a young boy named Temba. Temba was not like the other children in his village. He was quiet, observant, and had a heart full of questions. While the other children played and ran in the open fields, Temba spent his days listening to the wind and watching the animals. One day, as Temba wandered near the river that ran through the village, he heard an unfamiliar sound, a low, haunting melody carried on the wind. The sound came from a horn, its music both beautiful and sorrowful. It called to him, beckoning him toward the dense jungle beyond the village. Who plays this song? Temba wondered aloud, the melody seeming to speak to his soul. It was a call from deep within the earth, a summons that could not be ignored. Temba, though young, was brave. He set out on a journey to find the source of the mysterious horn. His parents warned him of the dangers that lay beyond the village, but the pull of the melody was too strong to resist. As he walked through the tall grasses, the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the land. In the distance, Temba spotted the silhouette of an old woman sitting by a fire. She wore a cloak of feathers, and her eyes gleamed like the stars in the night sky. "Child," the old woman said, her voice soft and knowing, "you seek the sacred horn of Imbali, but be warned, it holds great power, and with power comes great responsibility." The old woman introduced herself as Ayana, a wise sage who lived deep in the forest. She had lived many lifetimes, and had seen the world change in ways that Temba could not yet imagine. Her home was a simple hut made of woven branches and leaves, but inside, the air was thick with the scent of herbs and incense, and the walls were adorned with intricate carvings of animals, spirits, and ancient symbols. "I have been waiting for you, Temba," Ayana said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The sacred horn of Imbali is a relic of the gods, a gift from the spirits that once walked among us. It has been hidden away for centuries, for only the worthy can wield its power. And now, the time has come for you to decide whether you are worthy." Temba's heart raced. "What must I do?" he asked, his voice trembling with both fear and excitement. Ayana's eyes gleamed with the wisdom of ages. The horn was created to bring balance to the land, to unite the tribes and protect the sacred forests. But there are those who would misuse its power, to control the beasts, bend the winds, and darken the hearts of men. You must find the horn, and keep it from falling into the wrong hands. The weight of her words hung heavy in the air. Temba knew that this journey would not be easy, but he felt a deep calling in his chest, a connection to the land, the animals, and the spirits of his ancestors. "The spirits will guide you," Ayana continued. "But beware, for there are tricksters who will try to lead you astray. Trust in your heart, and remember the lessons of the elders. Only then will you succeed." Temba's journey began at dawn, with the first rays of light painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. He carried only a small pouch of herbs, a knife, and his courage. As he ventured deeper into the jungle, the air grew thick with humidity, and the sounds of the forest surrounded him. The chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, and the distant roar of a lion. It wasn't long before Temba encountered his first test. A mischievous monkey appeared in front of him, hanging from a vine. Its fur was golden, and its eyes twinkled with mischief. "Ah, young one," the monkey said in a voice as smooth as honey. "You seek the sacred horn, yes? But you are not the first to do so. Many have tried, and many have failed. Why should I let you pass?" Temba, knowing that the journey would be full of trials, remembered Ayana's words about tricksters. He spoke carefully, not showing fear. "I do not seek the horn for myself. I seek it to protect the people, to keep the balance of the land. I do not fear the trials ahead, for my heart is pure." The monkey laughed, a sound that echoed through the jungle. "Your heart may be pure, but that is not enough. To pass, you must answer my riddle." Temba nodded, ready for the challenge. "Ask your riddle, and I will answer." The monkey grinned, revealing sharp teeth. "I can run but never walk. I have a mouth but never talk. I have a bed but never sleep. What am I?" Temba thought for a moment, listening to the sounds of the forest, and then smiled. "A river." The monkey's eyes widened in surprise. "You are clever, young one. You may pass." And with that, the monkey disappeared into the trees, leaving Temba to continue his journey. As Temba journeyed further into the jungle, the air grew colder, and the trees seemed to close in around him. He had heard stories of the Forest of Shadows, a place where even the bravest of warriors lost their way. The light seemed to fade, and the paths twisted in unnatural ways. It was here that Temba encountered another challenge. A large, shadowy figure appeared before him, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. It was a spirit, one of the ancient protectors of the forest. "Who dares enter my domain?" the spirit's voice boomed. Temba, though afraid, stood tall. "I seek the sacred horn to protect the land and its people. I come with respect and humility." The spirit seemed to consider this for a long time. Finally it spoke. "The horn you seek is hidden in the heart of this forest. But to find it, you must face your greatest fear." Temba swallowed hard. He had always feared the unknown, the vastness of the jungle, and the many creatures that dwelled within it. But he knew he could not turn back now. "I am not afraid," Temba said, though his voice trembled. "I will face whatever comes." The spirit nodded, and suddenly the forest around Temba came alive with shadows. His fear manifested before him in the form of terrifying creatures, giant snakes, monstrous birds, and creatures he had never seen before. But Temba did not falter. With every step he took, he faced his fear, refusing to let the creatures of the forest sway him. Slowly, the shadows began to dissipate, and the spirit appeared once more. "You have proven your courage," the spirit said. "The path to the sacred horn is now open to you." After days of wandering through the jungle, battling both physical and mental challenges, Temba finally reached the heart of the forest. There, beneath an ancient baobab tree, lay the sacred horn of Imbali, its surface gleaming with a golden light. It was a magnificent instrument, adorned with intricate carvings of animals, spirits, and ancient symbols. Temba approached the horn cautiously, feeling the weight of its power. He knew that it was both a blessing and a curse, and that its true test had only just begun. As he reached out to grasp it, the ground shook, and a mighty roar echoed through the jungle. It was the sound of the dark sorcerer, a man named Kofi, who had long sought the horn for his own purposes. Temba turned to see Kofi emerging from the shadows, his dark magic swirling around him like a storm. "Foolish child," Kofi sneered. "You think you can wield the horn? It belongs to me." But Temba stood firm, the horn now in his hands. He could feel its power pulsing through him, filling him with a sense of strength and clarity. The horn began to hum, resonating with the earth itself. "Not while I am here," Temba said, his voice steady. "The horn will never fall into the hands of one who seeks to destroy. I will protect it, even with my life." Kofi raised his staff, and dark energy crackled in the air. The battle between light and dark had begun. As the battle between Temba and Kofi raged on, the ground beneath them trembled with the energy of their conflict. The sacred horn of Imbali hummed in Temba's hands, and with each note that resonated through the air, the very earth seemed to respond. The trees bent, their leaves whispering ancient incantations, and the sky grew darker, as though the heavens themselves watched with bated breath. Temba had never faced a sorcerer like Kofi before. His magic was dark and twisted, drawing on the very forces of fear and chaos. Kofi's eyes burned with malice, and his staff crackled with electric energy, sending bolts of black lightning toward Temba. But Temba, his heart steady, raised the horn to his lips. The first blast of sound that emerged from the horn was like the cry of a lion, powerful and full of authority. The air shimmered with the ancient wisdom embedded in its music, and the spirits of the land began to stir. From the ground rose the ethereal forms of ancestors, their faces carved with the wisdom of ages. They had been sleeping, waiting for the one worthy enough to awaken them. The spirits swirled around Temba, encircling him in a protective barrier of light. Their voices joined with the music of the horn, filling the jungle with a divine melody that reverberated deep within the heart of the earth. The dark energy that Kofi had conjured began to fade, as if it was being drawn into the earth itself, weakening and dissipating in the face of the spirit's strength. "Begone, Kofi!" cried Temba, his voice stronger now, empowered by the spirit's presence. The horn's music soared higher, and the ground beneath Kofi cracked, pulling at his feet like the jaws of a great beast. His magic faltered, and for the first time, Kofi felt true fear. The spirit's eyes glowed like embers as they turned toward Kofi. "You sought to control what is sacred," they said, their voices like the rustling of dry leaves. "Now you must face the consequences of your greed." Kofi screamed in anger, raising his staff one last time to unleash a final desperate spell. But the spirits were too swift. A mighty wind, carrying the force of generations, swept over him, tearing the dark magic from his hands and sending him hurtling into the distance. Kofi vanished into the night, his form consumed by the shadows from which he came. As the last echoes of the battle faded, Temba stood, panting and shaken but victorious. The spirits, now peaceful, surrounded him like a cloak, their voices murmuring words of approval. "You have done well, young one," they said. "The horn belongs to the people of Imbali now. You are its true guardian." Temba lowered the horn, his heart swelling with pride. He had not only defeated Kofi, but had also earned the trust and respect of the spirits who had long watched over the land. The horn, now in his hands, was no longer a symbol of power. It was a symbol of balance. Temba returned to his village, the sacred horn resting carefully in his hands. As he walked through the savannah, the sky began to lighten, and the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. The animals of the plains, lions, giraffes, elephants, gathered in quiet reverence as he passed. The land seemed to respond to him now, the plants and trees whispering their thanks for the balance he had restored. Upon entering the village, Temba was met with cries of joy. The people of Imbali, who had lived in fear of Kofi's dark influence, came rushing to him, their faces bright with relief. The elders, including Ayana, stood at the forefront of the crowd. "You have returned," Ayana said, her voice full of both awe and pride. "And you have brought the sacred horn with you." Temba nodded, his heart swelling with the weight of his responsibility. "I could not have done it without the help of the spirits and the strength of our ancestors. The horn belongs to the people now, and I will protect it with my life." The villagers celebrated for days, offering thanks to the spirits, the ancestors, and to Temba for his courage. The horn, once a symbol of conflict and greed, had now become a symbol of unity and hope. Under Temba's protection, it would no longer be misused. As the days passed, the land itself began to heal. The once dying crops began to flourish, and the rains, which had been scarce for years, returned in abundance. The animals, once driven away by the chaos Kofi had caused, returned to their rightful places in the plains and forests. The balance of nature had been restored. Ayana, now older and frilier, called Temba to her side. "You have done what many could not. You have brought peace to our people. But remember, the horn is not the only thing that holds power. It is the wisdom of our people, the respect for nature, and the strength of our community that truly guide us." Temba nodded solemnly. He understood now that the horn was only a tool. A powerful one, yes, but the true strength lay in the heart of the people and the land itself. Years passed, and Temba grew into a wise and respected leader. He carried the sacred horn with him wherever he went, but it was no longer something he relied on for power. It was a reminder of the lessons he had learned and the journey he had taken. One day, as Temba sat under the great baobab tree with the elders of the village, a strange wind began to stir. The air grew thick with the scent of earth and rain, and the skies darkened as though a storm were approaching. The villagers, sensing something was amiss, gathered close. Ayana, now an old woman, approached Temba, her hands trembling as she took hold of the horn. "Temba," she said, her voice full of both sorrow and wisdom, "the time has come for the horn to be returned to the earth. It has fulfilled its purpose here, and now it must rest." Temba was reluctant. The horn had been with him for so long, it had become a part of him. But Ayana's words carried the weight of truth. He knew that the horn's power was not meant to last forever in the hands of one man. It was a gift to the people, and when its task was complete, it would return to the earth where it belonged. With a heavy heart, Temba walked with Ayana to the sacred grove where the ancestors rested. The ground here was sacred, a place where the spirits of the land could hear the whispers of the living and the dead. Temba knelt beside a massive stone altar, a place where generations of leaders had offered their thanks to the spirits. "Return it to the earth, Temba," Ayana whispered, her voice faint as she placed the horn into his hands. With a deep breath, Temba raised the horn high, the sacred music that had once saved the land filling the air once more. As the sound resonated through the earth, the ground trembled and parted, revealing a deep, glowing crevice where the spirits of the land could accept the horn. The spirits appeared, their forms shimmering in the air, their voices filling the wind with a final harmonious song. The sacred horn of Imbali has returned to us, they said, and with it, the balance will remain forever. Temba placed the horn in the crevice, and as he did, the earth closed around it, sealing the horn away. The spirits, now at peace, faded into the wind, their song echoing across the land. Temba stood there for a long time, watching the place where the horn had once rested. It was no longer needed in the hands of men. It had fulfilled its purpose. The village of Imbali, now safe and prosperous, would continue to thrive, guided by the wisdom of its people and the respect for the spirits of the land. And so, the tale of the sacred horn of Imbali came to a close, but the lessons of bravery, wisdom, and community would live on in the hearts of all who had heard it. Temba, now an elder himself, would one day pass on the story to the next generation, reminding them that the true power of the horn lay not in its music, but in the harmony between the earth, the spirits, and the people.